Hello and welcome one more week to the European Campaign Playbook, where we interview the best professionals in the field and we write the playbook with them. Today I am in Brussels and I will interview Roberto Tomasi, who is a social media advertising expert who has been advising the European institutions for many years. Hope you enjoy it. Let's go.
Thanks, Sebastian. Thanks for having me. And today I'm just going to tell you about social media advertising for political governments, political institutions, and advocacy groups. I think it's a very interesting topic because there are some limitations and certain aspects that you need to know if you want to run this kind of ads. But before starting with the subject, maybe I will just do a short introduction just to explain who I am and what I do. As you perfectly already said, I have 6 years experience in digital advertising and social media advertising for corporate and EU institutions. Here in Brussels, I worked for communication agency, but also for advertising agency. So doing social media advertising is my passion, and doing it for let's say a bigger purpose like a public communication is what makes me happy, let's say. So I wanted to share with you some first of all a definition of what social media advertising for political groups and organizations is, and then we will move to 5 tips that I summarized on how to create effective political and cause-based ads. So I guess we can start.
Yes, please take it away.
Cool. So first of all, I would like to say that social media has democratized digital marketing in general. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, only advertising agency, media buying agency were the leaders in this sector, and were the one who were doing social media advertising or digital advertising on Google, on the advertising that you could see on website, for instance. Thanks to platforms such as Facebook or Twitter, buying social media ads on those platforms has become very, very easy. You simply need a credit card or a payment method, and a Facebook account, for instance. So I guess that most of the people that are watching, that are listening to us, must have both of them. So they can also do social media advertising. However, what is important to bear in mind is that political ads and cause-based ads are a specific category of ads that have some limitation and also need some requirement. And that's what we are gonna find out today. First of all, let's give a definition of political ads. So I looked at the definition of the ads policy of many platforms, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. And what I found out is that they have a kind of the common denominator when describing political ads is the following. So political ads are ads that wants to promote a current or former political party or political figure, or also that wants to promote a candidate who is running for public office. Think about Trump's election, Biden, and Trump spent huge amounts of money, invested on huge amounts of money on social media to promote the fact that they were running for the White House. A third type of political ads instead are elections and referendum. Think, for instance, the last referendum that took place at the end of September in Switzerland, for instance, on marriage equality. I searched for it and I saw that there were groups that were campaigning in favor, and they were doing it on social media. So this is the definition of political ads. Now, if we move to cause-based ads instead, these are some type of ads that seek to influence the opinion of people. Okay. So they want to start a debate. Think, for instance, the European Commission often runs cause-based ads on public consultation. So they want to ask people their opinion on a specific policy or regulation, and also how people would like this regulation to be changed in the future. So this is an example of cause-based ads. Another example could be the EU Citizens Initiative. Also here the European Commission runs ads to invite people to support a specific initiative, for instance. And these are some examples that shows you how an issue, a social issue, climate change, sustainability, can be promoted online, but it needs to respect some specific rules. Now that everyone should have a clear idea of what these type of ads are, political and cause-based. Now we want to see, to understand what platforms allows this kind of ads and what platforms prohibit this kind of ads, because as I said, this is a special category of ads. So when it comes to political ads, the only platforms that I identify that allow this type of ads are Facebook. Every time that I mention Facebook, please remember that I refer to the Facebook family of apps. So this includes Instagram and Messenger. So Facebook and Instagram, they allow political ads under certain restrictions. Also YouTube. When I say YouTube, also it includes Google as type of ads. So Facebook and YouTube allow political ads. Other platforms such as TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, they don't allow political ads. Yeah. Now let's move to cause-based ads. Here, platforms are much more flexible. All the platforms that I looked at, they allow cause-based ads to a certain extent. So again, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn, they all allow to run cause-based ads. However, this comes at a price. It comes with an authorization. Like not everybody can run this type of ads on the social media platforms. Some platforms require to get certified. Yeah. In this case, let's say the most strict platform when it comes to authorization is Facebook, because it requires a double verification. So the elements that you need to have in order to run political or cause-based ads on Facebook and Instagram are first an authentication of your person via your ID. So you need to submit your ID, your national identity form in order to be certified. And then the second thing would be a disclaimer, which will mention who paid for the ad. That will be added, always visible to the ad itself. So people will be, when seeing the ad, they will be also able to see who paid for it. So these are the two requirements that you need to have in place to run ads on Facebook and on Instagram. Another important thing to stress about Facebook and Instagram, a very painful limitation is, as you perfectly know, is the geographical restrictions that Facebook has. So put it simply, a person can run an ad only if this person is verified and is located physically in the country where the ads is intended to run. So you can understand that having a pan-European campaign run or managed from Brussels gets a bit complicated.
And as a matter of a fact, I remember during the 2019 European elections that the European Parliament and the Commission, they had to ask for an exception to the rule, because indeed we were campaigning, or the team that was in charge of getting out the vote had to do it from Brussels, but of course in the 28 back then member states. So that restriction actually got lifted temporarily, but now it's back, and it's unfair for the European project, because in the end what we want, most people want, is to be able to communicate or to deliver a message to people who live in Milan or Warsaw or where I'm from in the south of Spain. But at the moment, with the Facebook family of platforms, that's not possible. So hoping it will change sometime soon, or do you don't think so?
So I doubt this is gonna change. And actually, for those who are interested in what you just said about this request, official request coming from the council, the commission and the parliament, you can still find the official letter online that they wrote to Facebook, and there they explained the European project goes across our borders. We understand that you are an American company, but the system here, the political system in Europe is very specific, it's special. So please try to let us run pan-European campaigns. And as you said, Facebook allowed it because this happened just few months or weeks before the European election in 2019, so it was a big issue. But as you said, the limitation is back in place, and I really doubt that Facebook cares enough to lift it. But you never know. I mean, if there is political will, not just will, if there is political will, I'm sure that Facebook can allow it again, but it needs to come from let's say a higher place. Indeed. So if we go back to the kind of authorization, as we mentioned, Facebook is the most restrictive one. Google and YouTube, they also require an authorization, so you also have to submit some document. For instance, if you're an organization or an NGO, you need to submit your registration certificate or your VAT registration. The same applies to Twitter. Twitter also asks the same kind of documents in order to be whitelisted to run cause-based ads. TikTok is it's the most, let's say, blurry situation or platform, because they on what I found on their website is that in order to run cause-based ads, you need to be in touch with a TikTok sales representative. So it needs to be probably a conversation one-to-one. You need to explain which organization you represent, how big you are, how much money you want to invest.
Which is completely unfair. I mean, only the people who can afford to have that relationship will be the ones actually pushing.
Indeed.
But it's interesting. It's interesting.
So far, I've never heard of anyone that wants to go on TikTok to do cause-based ads, but probably there must be someone out there. Maybe in the States this has already happened, but we all know that TikTok can be quite tricky working with TikTok and the privacy, and it's not an easy platform. And maybe I would add, maybe it's not even the best platform to talk about politics, or the audience that you're looking for. Maybe it's not there, but this is, I guess it's for another chat, maybe. Yes. So now that you know what is political ads, what are cause-based ads, and which platforms allow them and which platforms prohibit them, we would move to 5 tips, creative consideration that you should bear in mind when designing, when building political or cause-based ads that can make them effective. So these tips are taken from an event that I attended. This was a Facebook event, really thought and designed for advocacy, NGOs, non-profits. So the tips that I'm going to show you are really focusing for this category of organization. So let's start with the first tip. The first tip is to show the problem up front. So in your ad, being it an image, a static image, being it a video, make sure that you show clearly first why it's important that someone reads your ads, why it's important that they act on something. So for instance, BirdLife International, which is an environmental NGO for animal protection here in Brussels, they run an ad showing a turtle which is entangled and almost strangled by a fish net. So the image is already the why. I mean, it's clearly there in your face. You stop to watch this animal which is suffering, and of course they added a kind of call to action or message saying school strike for the oceans. So you see the image, you say there is something wrong, and also there is a kind of action that you can take. So in this case, a school strike to protect the oceans. So I think that's very important. Always have your problem in front and tell people why you're running these ads.
And if I must say, European institutions, they are getting better at understanding this specific point. We have seen recently really good ads, video ads run by the European Parliament, where you can see the very first images are very, they are very impactful. Mm-hmm. They see like glaciers going down, they see forests burning, and then boom, it will, the video continues. But the problem that we are facing in this case, climate destruction, they put it right there at the beginning. So
that's a great strategy, and indeed, it's becoming well known that you need to grab the attention at the very beginning, especially in the example that you mentioned, the video. You have just the very first 3 seconds to show, even less, to show what the ad is about, the most important thing that you want to talk about. So and the institutions are learning it, slowly learning it. So the second tip is to also show the solution. So very often we hear organizations talking about huge issues, climate change being one of those, but we need to tell also people what they can do. So what kind of actions that are not too far, or that they don't sound too far from the user, they can do. In the example of the climate change, instead of just saying in your ad, climate change is happening, you could also say something about how people can reduce, with their choices, they can reduce the impact, can mitigate climate change. For instance, you can say, I don't know, by eating less meat, you will help us save the planet, or by using public transport or your bike to go to work, you will reduce the CO2 emissions. So try to be pragmatic and show what people like us, like me and you, can do on their daily life to achieve a higher goal, in this case fighting climate change. So this is the second tip. The third would be to use a clear call to action. I think that, like in the case that you mentioned before, organizations are getting better and better also in this, to ask something to the people. So don't leave people there hanging. After you give your message, don't leave them there doing nothing. Ask them what you want them to do. It can be, visit the websites or learn more. It can be donate now if you want to raise funds. It can be subscribe or sign up or join our event. So explain what you want them to do after they have consumed your ad. You can do it in the copy. You can do it in the image or in the video. You can also, on Facebook, you can use these call to action buttons where you can choose from a list, as I mentioned them already. Learn now, discover more, donate, etc. So please make sure to have a call to action in all your ads. The fourth tip is to make your cause shine. It's not the time to talk about your brand. Unfortunately, social media ads are not made to show how good you are, to show your logo, to show the name of your brand. No, this is not the right place. This is not the right moment to do it. There will be other opportunities for that. So make sure that the cause is the protagonist of your ad. There are always more subtle way to show your brand. For instance, color coding. You can use the palette of your brand for the text, for the text in your image or in the videos. You can use icons, or if you have your logo and if there is an icon in your logo, you can use this as an element, like a transitional element in your video. This would be more than enough to show to people, or to make people understand what is the brand. And most importantly, don't forget that all social media will have your logo and your name at the top left, usually, showing and saying who you are with your name and with your logo. So don't worry, make the cause shine and not the brand.
And you again picked a perfect example of WWF, this famous global NGO, where they chose a very, again, impactful image. You don't see the logo in the image, but you kind of guess if you are a consumer of their information, you can guess that the people or the organization behind it is WWF because of the way they've worked with this black and white color palette. So it doesn't need to be very complicated. Sometimes it's as easy as that, no?
Yeah, you just do it in a subtle way and it will work. Of course, we are talking about well-recognized brands, but I mean, if you're talking about new institutions or a bigger international organization, there should be a certain level of brand awareness already. And anyway, the most important thing is the cause. Anyway, it's not the name. If the cause is a valid cause and people share, that you are showing the ad to share this cause, they will consume the ad, they will click, not because of your name, but because of the cause.
Exactly.
So, and the last tip that I would like to share with you is to collaborate with authentic voices, being them opinion leaders, influencers out there that share the cause with you. So if you're an NGO working for, I don't know, protecting migrants, etc., you could collaborate with someone that has been involved in this work and this is well known. And this is exactly what the Green Group at the European Parliament did. So what they did was to use the face and the name of Carola Rackete, who is the captain of the Sea-Watch, the boat that helped migrants on the Italian coast. And unfortunately, she became famous for this act on all the headlines because the Italian government Salvini sued her. So even if she didn't want to, she became an opinion leader. And the Green Group used her face and collaborated with her, let's not say used, but collaborated with her in order to have ads to invite people to an event. So I think that's a great example of how you can leverage opinion leaders for social media ads. And I strongly recommend organizations to use it, making sure that you really share the same values and that the reputation of the organization is not at risk, of course. So make sure to vet these influencers, these opinion leaders before using them.
And even not only the face or the image of those influencers, sometimes even attributes that are easily to recognize, such as the voice, a voiceover. Of course, you are thinking about really global figures who are very easy to recognize, but it doesn't have to be the face. It can be a speech that they have given or a special audio recording that they can give to you that will probably that will cost less to the people you are trying to collaborate with, and the impact is the same because everyone will know that he or she is behind the cause.
Indeed, yeah. Now that you mentioned it, the first speech that came to my mind is the recent Greta Thunberg's speech when she's saying blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes.
if you are, I don't know, WWF or you work in an environmental NGO, if you have the right to use that, if you get the rights to use the speech, put it in your ads, and I'm sure that the people will immediately recognize it. Yeah. Indeed. So yeah, this was the last tip, and I guess that if now it's clearer what political ads, cause-based ads are, which platforms allow them, and you also should have some ideas or creative ideas on how to build effective ads. I think what is missing is just that you start running political ads or cause-based ads on social media.
Well, Roberto, thank you so much.
Welcome.
I will provide, with your permission, all the members of our community with your contact details in case they want to reach out for more with specific questions. You can also raise those questions on the comment sections of YouTube or Facebook, and we will come back to you. And we hope that you enjoy this. We certainly did have a lot of fun recording this interview. It's the first time that we do it in person, so sort of getting back to normality feels great. Now you're off to Italy, I understand. Yes. So enjoy. And hope to see you in the future.
With pleasure. Cool.
Thank you, Roberto.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.